Tonight, on the first Monday edition of SUTV Sports, we recap the Indy 500 and an update on the 2020 NFL season. All that and more right now on SUTV Sports. We start off in college sports. The NCAA recently announced the preparation of hosting scaled-back championships for fall sports in the spring of 2021. The board also announced the adoption of an eligibility waiver which would grant student athletes an additional year of eligibility. For now, student athletes will have return-to-play protocols. Moving on to professional football. The NFL is assessing a series of positive COVID-19 cases traced to the same laboratory in New Jersey. At least 10 teams were affected by these results, raising concerns of the testing program. Any player who tests positive for COVID-19, even if it is found to be a false positive upon retest, must have 2 negative tests before he will be allowed to return to practice. As of Sunday, only 3 of nearly 3,000 players who have spent time in training camp were currently on the reserve COVID-19 list. All of the active protocols are in an effort to stick to the original plan proposed in March to have traditional season of 16 games and a full set of playoffs in front of fans. The National Hockey League is back in action along with other major sports. SUTV's Tyler Danson gives us an update on their return-to-play format.
This past weekend saw an end to the first round of the Stanley Cup Playoffs. Now just 8 teams remain in the battle for Lord Stanley's Cup. It has been a roller coaster of a season for players in the National Hockey League. Due to the COVID-19 pandemic, the regular season had been suspended in mid-March, and all players had to cease on-ice training for months. The NHL, however, was able to come to a consensus and formulate a return-to-play format where 24 teams would go to 2 different hub cities to live in a bubble and play until there was a champion. Since entering the bubble, the NHL has conducted over 5,000 COVID-19 tests and found 0 positive cases of the coronavirus within the 2 hub cities. Make sure to tune in next week to SUTV Sports for all the news surrounding the Stanley Cup Playoffs. From SUTV Sports, I'm Tyler Danson. Let's send it back to Mackenzie Mitchell at the studio.
The Indianapolis 500 was held this past weekend after being postponed from its traditional Memorial Day weekend time slot due to the coronavirus pandemic. SUTV's Jacob Pitts has the race recap.
This is the Indianapolis 500.
Get ready.
IndyCar's biggest race on the season, typically part of a motorsports-packed Memorial Day weekend, ran their 104th Indianapolis 500 on Sunday. The event, like many other sporting events, being held without fans and only essential personnel being allowed into the speedway. The field got off to a fast start with Scott Dixon going around the outside of Marco Andretti for the lead, headed for the first turn. We moved to lap 25 with Marcus Ericsson slamming into the outside wall coming off of turn number 1. Car gets loose and he just can't quite save it here and gets into the outside safer barrier. A disappointment for Ericsson, who was running in the 8th position when he hit the outside wall, ending his chances to try and win the race. Then lap 85 saw Dalton Kellett crash in turns 3 and 4 with the car just sliding up the racetrack before hitting the wall. He's right in behind the 81 of Ben Handley, loses the air off the front of the car, slides up into the loose stuff, and then hits the outside wall. This would set up a restart that would bring the only multiple car accident of the day. Here's the NBC Sports crew on the call with Lee Diffie, Paul Tracy, and Townsend Bell.
Let's go. Takuma Sato is not too far behind, and Alexander Rossi as well. Oh, pick up the look at the spinner.
Connor Daly spins and big hard hit for I think
Oliver
Askew lost it in the smoke, and that was a massive hit.
Coming off turn 4 and back to the green flag, Connor Daly's orange 47 catches the curb with his left side tires, causing the car to get loose and to spin around. Trying to brake and avoid the accident, rookie Oliver Askew lost control of his number 7 machine, slamming hard into the inside safer barrier. Askew was shaken and it took some time for him to get out of the car. However, it wasn't long before he was standing outside the infield care center talking to reporters. Under the next caution, contact on pit road between the 30 of Takuma Sato and the 27 of Alexander Rossi. Right there in the circle center of your screen, that's going to send Rossi to the back of the field for an unsafe pit release penalty. Then, 10 laps later, trying to work his way back through the field, he overdrives turn 2, gets a little loose, car snaps, he can't correct it, and slams into the outside wall. You'll see the replay right here. This would end his bid to try and win his second Indianapolis 500, his first coming back in 2016. This would be the penultimate caution flag, setting up a dash for the finish. Takuma Sato's Rahal Letterman racing machine passes the dominant Ganassi car of Scott Dixon right after the last pit stop, and then with 5 laps to go, the caution comes out. A huge wreck. Spencer Piggott in the 45 machine with a hellacious impact with the end of the pit wall, launching the car back up the track. You saw the car get loose. It hits the wall once, hits the wall twice, bounces back across the racetrack, and then hits the tires and the pit attenuator at the end of the pit wall. Piggott would be taken to the hospital for further evaluation. However, he would be released overnight, and he is okay. IndyCar officials decided instead of throwing a red flag and trying to finish the race under green flag, they would run the remaining 5 laps under caution, meaning that Takuma Sato would win his second Indianapolis 500, his first coming back in 2017. With Sato's win, he joins the likes of IndyCar legends like Al Unser Jr., Ari Luyendyk, Dan Weldon, and Juan Pablo Montoya as 2-time winners of the event. Scott Dixon finishes in second, his 3rd career second-place finish at Indy, and Graham Rahal ties his personal best with a 3rd-place finish at Indianapolis Motor Speedway. For SUTV News, I'm Jacob Hitz.
IndyCar heads to the Worldwide Technology Raceway in Madison, Illinois for a doubleheader this weekend, with a race Saturday and Sunday, both starting at 3 p.m. Eastern Time. The PGA Tour is just a few weeks away from concluding the 2020 season. After COVID-19 canceled many of golf's most iconic events, such as the U.S. Open and the Masters Tournament, the world's best golfers are trying harder than ever to win the FedEx Cup Championship. Dustin Johnson finished an impressive 30 under par at the Northern Trust Tournament. He moved into first place on the PGA Tour leaderboards. Next weekend, many of the game's best will travel to Olympia Fields, Illinois for the BMW Championship. With this upcoming tournament being worth 1,500 points, the FedEx Cup is not out of reach for many golfers. Make sure to tune into SUTV Sports next week for all of the latest on the PGA Tour. The city of Los Angeles declared August 24th Kobe Bryant Day. Kobe Bryant was more than just a basketball player. He was an inspiration to those in his community and around the world. His mentality, talent, and life of his own and his daughter Gianna are commemorated globally. Bryant is celebrated today based on the combination of his numbers 8 and 24. Today starts the first of several years of celebrations. And that will be it for tonight's sports highlights and updates. Make sure to tune into SUTV Sports next Monday night and stay tuned to SUTV News social media for all of your news surrounding the ship community, entertainment, and much more. From SUTV Sports, I'm Mackenzie Mitchell. See you guys next week.